Welcome back to NTD Good Morning. I'm Carrie Dunst. NTD's 5th International Photography Competition is in its final round right now here in New York City, and it's received submissions from all over the world, thousands of them, literally. Our team has gone through them one by one. The mission: to promote works which focus on luminosity, beauty, and naturalism, while following the traditional principles and aesthetics. Now joining us in studio are two of the contest finalists, selected again from thousands of interests. We have Gina Pottenger and James Aziere. Thank you so much for joining us. Really, congratulations to have submitted an image. Only 50 or so made it out of, our team went through so many images. Something really spoke to them about your image. So I'd love to start there, Gina. If you could talk about, I know you have two images that were finalists. Can you start by talking about Downpour?
Yeah, so my work with an international nonprofit organization took me to West Africa, to the Ivory Coast. And after we documented some work that local people were doing with a health clinic in their community, they wanted to take us to their neighborhood so that we could see where they lived. And so I and the videographer went into this little housing area, and while we were there, there was just a torrential downpour rainstorm, so we were kind of trapped there for a little while. But the kids in the housing area just started dancing and playing in the rain, and they were just kicking soccer balls and just having so much joy. And so we just got out our cameras and started capturing what they were doing. And so that photo, I just love that photo because the boy is showing so much awe in his face as he's putting his hand out to capture the rain.
I love that, and it just shows the difference between the child mindset and the adult mindset.
Yes.
Right? 'Cause an adult would say, hey, it's raining,
Yeah.
and I should be sad, I should go indoors.
Yeah.
And here you have a child sort of teaching adults maybe how to approach a situation. I love that, and
Yeah.
it is a beautiful image. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And James, I'd love to learn more about, I don't even know that I can pronounce this appropriately, but it's a beautiful cliffside scene. What is the title of the photo?
So Rocamadour, it's Miracles on the Cliffside. It's a sight that resonates when you first see it. It's a village on the side of a cliff.
Wow.
Of a mountain that's kind of lost in the forest of France. And to take that picture to really capture, because when you see it, you wonder, why would you build a village that you can't ride a horse to or take a car to, and where there's no immediate water? It's like something strange. So to get that image, I had to go to another mountain to find a place to capture the whole thing, that you could really get the feeling how high up the cliff this village is. And Rocamadour actually stars a cave. And it was a monastic hermit named Amadou who found this cave, and he went to live there. They haven't really determined what year that was. Some say it was around the year 70, others say 600. But gradually other hermits, monastic hermits, joined him, and it became a sacred spot. So Rocamadour really changes in the year 1144 when they were kind of cleaning up the site, this cave. It was still just a cave then. And they found a perfectly preserved body of Amadou. And that people couldn't believe it, and they came to see it, and it was during that time that miracles began taking place. And it became a gathering place. And 22 years later, Louis IX went there before he left First Crusade, which he won. He defeated the Arabs and eventually lost his life, and today he's called Saint Louis, and Amadou is Saint Amadou. But you have a cathedral there of Notre Dame. So this is the site of what you're looking at in this picture, and it kind of speaks to you. It's like, I really want to know more about it.
I find that so interesting because I just liked the photo, and I thought, oh, it's striking without knowing any of the backstory. And then as you introduce the history of it, and you just fall in love with that picture even more. I think what's great about photography is I would love to go there now, but I don't have to go there because the photo exists, and you went there. And I think that's some of the beauty of the photographer's eye. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about your other image that was selected. This one is a very humorous one, of course. It's monkey in a monkey temple.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, my work took me to Nepal, and after I spent some time with the local people and some trainings that they were doing, they wanted to show us a cultural and religious site that was special in their community. And so the name of the temple complex, and I'll try to pronounce it, Swayambhu, I believe, I hope I'm saying it right, but it was just this, up on this hilltop, a gorgeous temple complex with so much beautiful art and architecture. And what just struck me was how it was open to the air, it was open to the sky, and open to these animals. So there's just monkeys all through the complex as pilgrims were going there to worship and to practice their faith. They're just surrounded by nature. And so these monkeys are just kind of everywhere. You have to move around them, and they're part of it. So. Oh,
it's such a different culture from what you see here, where maybe you're used to seeing domesticated dogs and cats, and then you go somewhere and it must just feel so alive and somewhat maybe a little intimidating as well to have all the monkeys running around.
Yeah. Well, and just to think about how our buildings of worship can tend to be very enclosed, to help us narrow our focus and remove distractions. But what I experienced there was how open it is to nature.
I love that. And as we start to talk about your approach and process to photography, James, I'd just like to get a sense of how you pick your subject. Is it sort of whatever hits you, or do you have something set in mind before you start a session? How do you approach your art?
Photography, in my mind, is the highest level of storytelling. And so if I see something that illuminates, the object is perspective engineering, either from the bird's eye view, looking down on it, could be a landscape, or from the bug's eye view of people doing something. And so Rocamadour obviously is a landscape. But when you take a picture, when I take a picture, especially from the bug's eye view, my goal is I want the person that looks at it to walk away with a picture in their mind. It kind of crystallizes in your mind. You can't forget it. And so they may see it as a scientist, like an archaeologist is digging, and you learn something from the picture about mankind. Or you might see it as an explorer, when you're going, golly, I'll never go there to see that, but this is like showing me the jungle. Or even as a doctor, and like in Gina's picture of the child, it's like a great picture. It's the kind of picture I like to take because the little boy is reaching out. And so as a doctor looks at it, he's trying to diagnose what's going on. What's this kid reaching for? What's happening there? And so my approach, and I really like candid shooting the best. That's my greatest love. But it's what the picture brings to the viewer, and hoping that it's good enough that they're rewarded by looking at it.
I love that. And I love that contrast of the bird's eye view versus the bug's eye view. I mean, in one phrase, you really just captured how perspectives can change even within a single frame from just the way that you set up your shot. And to that point, Gina, we all predate digital photography. And the best moment was when you'd get 2 or 3 rolls back, because you had no immediacy and you almost didn't even remember the photos that you took. But I think people who predate the digital art maybe have a different appreciation. It's very quick, obviously easy to just whip out your phone and rip off, 20 shots. But I just want to get a sense of how you, having this experience as well as a journalist, how you approach when you're going to do a photo session.
Yeah, it's really, again, my journalistic background really informs and shaped how I started approaching photography. And I can't spend too much time thinking about the technical aspects of the camera and everything. I need to be able to focus on the subject, especially if it's moving, if it's people who are engaged in activities, just being able to capture the moment as it's happening. So it is a lot of just being quick and flexible.
Yeah, I find that regardless of what your occupation is, when you master the basic skills, you can then sort of forget all those things and then really be connected to the moment, and that's really when magic happens. And to that end, it's no surprise to anybody that you have a background as an educator. So how does that play into the the way that you approach photography and the value that you find in photography as an educator.
Well, you know, it's kind of a strange story, but I went to the University of Kansas to get my graduate work done, and I was an assistant track coach. And my goal was to become a college track coach. But when I graduated, I just had this instinct that I needed to get out of Dodge, so to speak. And I turned down a very attractive job to go to the jungles in Honduras at the American School. And I went there obviously to teach and coach, which I did. But it was there I met my first camera. And another teacher introduced me to photography. He told me a little bit about it. But when I talk about exploring, you can't imagine what you could see back in 1967 in the jungles of Honduras, because you could even go to places where they hadn't even seen white men before, where you drove through the rivers and you know, you carried a gun with you. And,
wow.
And there was so much to see, not just the people, but the archaeology, a lot of it. And so that became ingrained in me. So when I went back to the United States a year later, photography remained a big part of my life. And I used the pictures that I took in Honduras as a teaching tool. Because again, like I said before, photos are the best storyteller. And like I taught history, and I often tell stories. If you're you might end up being George Washington. I might change your name, but you're the first president of the United States. But in teaching, when you can use a photograph to bring it back to life, and especially in subjects like world civilization, but even in the law course, there are so many areas where photography really do keep the kids interested, get them involved. Because honestly, the first question I asked every class as a teacher was, how many of you would not take my course if you didn't have to? And almost the entire class always would raise their hand. I said, you gotta be honest, you know? That made me feel good, because if I got 3 to raise their hand, I thought, well, I'm gonna have some fun in here, you know? But it was mostly about making my kids love the subject. Not as much about the dates and everything. I figured they would learn enough, but I want them to walk out of my class so that when they're driving down the road, they might want to stop and read the historical sign that they see. But pictures, I think, played a big role in my 35 years of teaching to get kids interested. And I feel I did that in the classroom, and I had many kids say that. They'd say, Coach, I didn't really think I liked history, but I really enjoyed your class. So,
picture really is worth
sure,
1,000 words when
right.
it comes to education, right?
And I continue taking pictures all my life. I've been in 5 continents, and I've taken pictures all over the world, and they were very usable in the classroom.
I love that. I love that. And the role of the educator is so central to a thriving society and finding unity in society and what is, you know, important and what is good. And Gina, as we start to finish up, I'd just love to get a little bit of your perspective on this week being with your kind, you know, being around other people who not are only photographers, but we're also drawn to enter a contest that maybe values a different set of criteria, you know, with tradition and classic composition and some of the things that NTD from our cultural side is trying to promote.
Yeah, it's so invigorating to be with the other photographers and people that share this passion. Often I'm the only one I know in my social circle or even in my work that is so passionate about photography. Also just to meet, I was so excited about this contest, hoping that I could meet other photographers from around the world, learn from each other, just celebrate what we're passionate about, celebrate these values that this contest was elevating, just to be able to, celebrate our shared creativity that we are given by our Creator, to do that together. And I'm hoping to build some relationships that will last out of this contest.
Such a beautiful way to end the show. Appreciate you both. You've inspired us all. Gina Pottenger, James Aziere, thank you so much for coming in, and for congratulations really on being selected in the competition.
Appreciate it.